we have, and he just sort of mouths off and says, we're going to have repeal and replace. It's going to happen as soon as Tom Price gets in. We're going to introduce the bill, and that'll probably be around February or so. And he says may take a week to replace, may take an hour, may happen immediately. Box is in the Republicans. They've come out now, and everybody seems to be on board with the repeal and replace. We know the outlines of this. It's going to be Tom Price's proposal, which is, I think this is important. We need to be able to talk about the insanity that is Donald Trump, and then talk about what it is distracting from, which is what in normal times you and I would call the insanity of the right wing's policy proposals. And just to go over this quickly, and we don't know what the plan is, but we can guess that it's based on Price's plan because Tom Price has done this. Tax credits, health savings accounts.
And let's sort of break this down for a second, where people who listen to this show are quite well informed and understand, but health savings accounts, you honestly couldn't come up with something more ludicrous. For people that have the funds already to support health insurance, they're a great vehicle.
Great.
Right? It's a tax-free vehicle. It means that you have more money to spend on health insurance. However, if you're one of the many people right now who are helping subsidize so they can afford health insurance, who don't have the money, they do nothing for you. It's like saying, nothing. Hey, here's what we've done for all of you. We've created bank accounts for everybody. And then people are like, well, we don't have any money, though.
Right, exactly.
That's essentially what a health savings
account is.
And it's the
same with the tax credit.
Right. It does nothing to take care of so many of the 20 million people who've now been insured by the Affordable Care Act, many of whom, up to, if I remember, 400% of the poverty line received some form of subsidies because they can't fully afford insurance. And this does nothing to help that. So it's just like I hesitate to even call it a Band-Aid. It's a joke. It does nothing.
It provides. It also calls for existing medical conditions can't be denied as long as people had continuous insurance coverage for 18 months prior to selecting a new policy. Also, and we'll go into the risk pools, but in a bit, the state risk pools, but which is the fourth element of the plan. The fifth element is limiting the amount that companies can take on deductions from health insurance, so that they're not giving away too much generous health insurance. There was that's sort of like the Cadillac tax on some level. So let's listen to this clip of Paul Ryan. He is in a town hall in Washington, D.C. last night. And before we look at this clip, I am so annoyed with the failure of the Democratic Party to hold Paul Ryan to account for Donald Trump. This has been something I have been screaming about for months and months prior to the election. They have a pathological reluctance to tie Donald Trump to Paul Ryan, and it is a massive, massive mistake. Paul Ryan is the most vulnerable. He is the most under pressure. He is the leverage point. And to normalize Paul Ryan, because he's not as goofy and heavily medicated or whatever it is that Donald Trump is a massive mistake. And so here is, let's look at this clip. This is Paul Ryan doing a town hall. Paul Ryan, who has been given a free pass by the Democrats to support Donald Trump in everything he does. Paul Ryan getting a question from Jeff Jeans, who is he's a guy in the town hall. And here it is. Here is this question and Paul Ryan, and you'll also hear the voice of Jake Tapper.
Problem. You just mentioned pre-existing conditions. Let me introduce you, and please get up, because I know you want to engage. Jeff Jeans is from Sedona, Arizona. He was a lifelong Republican, and then something happened. Jeff.
Come back. I was a Republican, and I worked for the Reagan and Bush campaigns. Just like you, I was opposed to the Affordable Care Act. When it was passed, I told my wife we would close our business before I complied with this law. Then, at 49, I was given 6 weeks to live with a very curable type of cancer. We offered 3 times the cost of my treatments, which was rejected. They required an insurance card. Thanks to the Affordable Care Act, I'm standing here today alive. Being both a small business person and someone with pre-existing conditions, I rely on the Affordable Care Act to be able to purchase my own insurance. Why would you repeal the Affordable Care Act without a replacement?
Oh, we wouldn't do that. We want to replace it with something better. First of all, I'm glad you're standing here. I mean, really, seriously. I mean,
I'm so glad you're not dead.
no,
Right.
really,
I don't believe him.
Can I say one thing? I hate to interrupt you. Can I say one thing? I want to thank President Obama from the bottom of my heart because I would be dead if it weren't for him.
Wow. There you go.
So there it is. Now, Paul Ryan claiming that they're going to replace it with something better, and we'll take a moment to pull that apart.
Well, we talked about, obviously, the health savings account and these tax breaks right now, but I think it was last week we discussed this, which is simple. There's really not much you need to know past this. The Republican Party now is a party that refuses to govern because they refuse to say that anything is worth spending money on unless it's it's subsidies for big oil or defense. And I'm probably missing a few other things in there. Some of them, of course, defend Social Security and Medicare because they're scared. But that's the key part of the whole thing here. Philip Klein over at the Washington Examiner wrote one of the most honest posts I've seen, which is he's a conservative, and he wrote, "Why is it that Republicans can't just say, we don't believe everybody should have health insurance. We don't believe some people should have to pay for other people to have it." And that is why. So that's why they have to pretend and obfuscate and say, "Oh, don't worry, no one's going to lose their insurance," which is one of 1,000 lies Kellyanne Conway tells a day. And Paul Ryan say, "Oh, we're going to replace it with something better," because they know if they just say we're taking away your health insurance, which is what they're really doing, they'll get pilloried even by their own people who've disproportionately benefited their base, white working class men.
100% correct. Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.